Good morning, afternoon, evening, gamers. Now, usually, as you know, I mostly just do video games because that's the thing that I love doing and playing. Um, but I think this, whilst it involves gaming and the gaming industry, the state it's in at the moment, I think this goes far beyond that. And I think it's something that we should all be thinking about in our spare time to really have a think about what this situation means. So first of all, I'm going to play you this.
First time going to China? No, not really. It's my first time. I'm going out to try and drum up a little business. What are you heading out for? I work for a clothing company. We're trying to break into the market and get the Chinese people as customers. Oh, hey, you. Huh? I had that idea like 3 days ago. So what? So when did you come up with it?
Hey, Mitchell, you're on this flight?
Yeah, that's so funny. I'm working for Google now, overseeing the expansions into the Chinese user base.
Yeah, I'm still with the NBA, doing some press with the players to try to get more Chinese viewers.
Oh, for Christ's sake! You have a good idea and everyone wants to copy you. Fine, I can handle some healthy competition. Who else wants to go to China and get some of their money? Oh, for crying out loud. Let me guess, you work for a company trying to get Chinese people as customers. Wow, where'd you get that idea? It's okay. I'm sure there's plenty of Chinese people for all of us.
So this seems to be the state lately. Everybody's after China's money. If you want to do business in China, particularly in the gaming world, you go through companies like Tencent, who have shares in Activision Blizzard, and also quite a few other companies, also the Epic Store, and also as well I think League of Legends, they have their hands in as well. So we then go to this. Now this comes from the comicbook.com. And Blizzard suspends a pro Hearthstone player over Hong Kong comments. Now this player, I'm not going to say that because I'll just massacre it. Blitzchung appeared during a post-match interview and made comments in support of the liberation of Hong Kong. At the moment, unfortunately, there are some problems in Hong Kong, but between themselves and China. And he, being from Hong Kong, he wanted to basically give his support to his people. And Blizzard suspended him for a year and took away all of his prize money. That bit I find particularly egregious. This being an American company who basically they want China's money, and so anything that would upset China, they will silence those people. Which, in my own personal opinion, is disgusting. When money comes before morals, then, well, I think we are on a very slippery slope. And I suppose if you're not into gaming, if you're not particularly into free speech, you might wonder, well, you know, what do I care? Well, if this, I mean, in the West now, also we're finding that everybody's walking around on eggshells, afraid to say anything in case somebody else calls them out, because everybody is offended now by everything, and it's not just that somebody can be offended. They can go on the attack and try to get you fired from your job. That this has been happening a lot over the last sort of couple of years. So with this in mind, as we carry on throughout life, more and more the things that were fought for so hard, liberty and freedom of speech, and freedom and artistic license, even here on YouTube, and I have to go very, very careful because, you know, they are slowly censoring content creators as well. More and more your rights are being slowly eroded, slowly taken away. And when you lose your right to free speech, when you lose your right to artistic license, what you are basically losing your freedom as a human being. And I don't know about you, but that's not particularly a world that I wish to live in. I wish for all people to have a decent, happy life. Life will never be fair, you know, that's true. But nevertheless, we can always try to do better. And for an American company to do this, when American lives were spilt in the pursuit of a free world, I find this particularly disgusting. So, they say that rules were broken. This isn't true. It's not true at all. Chung conducting the post-game interview, Chung wore a face mask during this interview, which is something that is being done in Hong Kong during protests. And when, of course, as well, we come to protests, let's not forget this: 1989 Tiananmen Square protests, which ended very, very badly with a lot of people dying. So let us not forget this. Will this happen again? I hope not. But in 2019, the fact that we are all more, you know, decent human beings, I wouldn't. I would be very, very careful. So here is what actually went on. If we can play this, as I said, I did take this from comicbook.com. So, you know, please go and give them a like. If I'm not monetized for this video, so if you want to take it and make money off of it, fine. They can do that. I don't care about that. I'm not interested in that. This is not what this is about. This is something that needs to be talked about and discussed. So
你就讲完那8个字，然后导播我们就结束，我们就什么也都不要聊了。然后你随时可以开始，头先低下来。
光复香港，时代革命。
导播可以切回来了。
好，导播谢谢，
谢谢，好。
So they had to hide under the table. These two people were also removed, and basically they've been told that they will never be able to work in the games industry again. Blizzard issued a statement on Tuesday condemning Chung's actions and citing the rule it said the pro player violated. The rule in question for Hearthstone's competitive scene says if Blizzard decides a player's actions bring the player into public disrepute, offend people meaning China, or damage Blizzard's image, or in this case damage Blizzard's ability to make money from China, they can remove the player from the Grandmasters competition and take away all their prize money. That's exactly what Blizzard has decided to do in this situation. This is nothing to do with bringing the game into disrepute. I mean, I'll be honest. I'll be the first one to admit that I would rather politics were kept out of video games. I'll be honest with that. But I also understand that it was a large platform. This is a young man who is worried about his people and what's going to happen to their rights. I don't pretend to understand all of what's going on between China and Hong Kong. But he's a young man. He's worried about friends, family, about the people of Hong Kong, and he wanted to use this platform to make a statement. I think he knew that what it was going to cost him, and I've read other bits and pieces where he said he has no regrets. Is he brave? Well, that's for you to make up your own mind. I think he did something that was necessary, and I respect him for that. Whether it was brave or not, I don't know. But effective immediately, Blitzchung is, I hope I'm saying that name right, I'm sorry if I'm not, is removed from Grandmasters and will receive no prizing for Grandmasters Season 2. I mean, that bit I find just odd as well, that they actually took his money off of him as well. Additionally, Blitzchung is ineligible to participate in Hearthstone E-sports for 12 months, beginning from October the 5th, 2019, and extending to October the 5th, 2020. And we will also immediately cease working with both casters. So these two guys here are gone as well. And is this a bit that... and they also obviously shut down their comments on, I think it was Reddit, and probably Twitter as well, because they knew that they were going to get a massive backlash, but they don't care. They did it anyway because they're too busy milking China for money. Funnily enough, as well, outside of their building, they have a plaque says that it says something like every voice is valuable or something like that. Disingenuous words that mean nothing. And to also a lot of the employees at Blizzard are also very upset about this. They're not on board with it, and they're not happy about it. And they went out and covered up some of the signs outside of Blizzard's headquarters in protest, which I dare say, Blizzard isn't particularly bothered about. But yeah, this is an odd state of play in which people's right to expression is being suppressed and being censored. Being censored is something I've never agreed with, and I never will, because it is basically it is breaking people's right to freedom of expression. Everybody gets offended by something. These days, everybody is offended by something. That is your right. There are lots of things that offend me, but I don't necessarily feel the need to call people out on it. I don't like it, so I avoid it and move on with my life. And if everybody did that more, we wouldn't have a lot of these problems. But yeah, this is just a disgusting thing, and it's just another hit for the gaming community of which I'm proud to be a part of. I'm proud to play these games because I think of them not just as a video game, but as works of art. Not the people that come out on stage and like, you know, Todd Howard and talk about a game. Not him. But the person who made that village in that game and put all that detail into it. Put the little bits in the corners and the flowers here, and that's the person that I think is an artist just as much as somebody who paints on a canvas. So yeah, I wanted to make this video last night, but I knew that if I did, I probably would be banned from YouTube. I was very angry and upset at this, and I think all people. I'm not going to tell you how you should feel, but I definitely think that there should be some discussion. That I think that there should be some concern, because if this can happen to this person who's just trying to do right by his people, where could this end up? Already on Twitter, people are called out, and people end up losing their jobs, and you've got the feminazis just trying to destroy everything. You've got the SJWs running around trying to police everybody, and this tends to be the world that we live in. Here in the United Kingdom, obviously. As most of you know, Britain was given a vote. They were asked, do you want to stay in Europe or do you want to leave? Now, whether you are for leaving or staying is irrelevant. I don't care about that. That is your personal perspective. That is your political stance, and that's fine. But that's not about this. The people were given a choice. Did they want to leave or did they want to stay? Now, it doesn't matter like how minuscule the margin was. That doesn't matter. Somebody comes first and somebody comes second in a race. Very rarely do we go, well, you know, that player came just this No. It's first and it's second. That's it. The people were asked if they wanted to stay or leave, and they said leave. The politicians obviously were not expecting that. And I'm also curious as to if everybody had voted for stay, would we have any of this now? No, of course we wouldn't. So they asked to leave, and now it seems to me that the government is trying to circumvent the will of the people. By delaying the leaving, talking about trying to get better deals and all of this, and I think they're even talking about trying to call another general election so that they can have another vote. And this to me just seems absolutely ridiculous. I think to probably a lot of other countries, they're probably looking at this like, what the hell is going on? And if they do manage to do this, and they manage to circumvent the will of the British people, then that means that basically democracy is a joke. It doesn't exist. Which I think will be a very dangerous precedent, because then people will turn around and say, well, you know, you ask us to vote on something, we vote on something, and then you just do the complete opposite anyway. So therefore, you know, democracy is irrelevant, is pointless. So that there are a lot of odd things going on in the world. China, you know, you can look into their history with Tiananmen Square. With His Holiness the Dalai Lama, basically, well, I wouldn't say that they kicked him out of out of his country. He had to leave, otherwise he probably would not be around today. So, you know, China have been up to this sort of thing for a long time. They censor their own people, and I want to make it perfectly clear that this is not my attack on the Chinese people as such. I think the Chinese are a wonderful people. I like them very much. I think you have a great culture and history. No, this is the government, and these things always tend to come down to governments. And yeah, that they've been up to these things for a long time. The China's internet is heavily censored. They do not have the freedom that we have, and honestly, I don't know how much longer that we here in the West will have it, to be quite honest. Because, as I said, if people don't care about these things, if we don't have discussions about these things, it will just keep on creeping onwards until your rights get smaller and smaller and smaller, until basically the state dictates to us what we can and what we can't do. I think that's not a great way to live. I really don't. But, you know, that is up for you to decide. But yeah, I think this is a disgusting thing. This wasn't done for any rules. This was done purely because Blizzard want the money from China. And they will do anything to stop China being upset. And as you saw with the South Park video, who had the audacity to criticize China, that they're pretty much banned all over China, and basically they made fun of Hollywood bending the knee to China, and if I can find the full episode, I will try and upload it. But yeah, so I think we should at least have a discussion on what is going on in the world. Because otherwise, I think this sort of thing will carry on happening. And just because it is Blizzard and China doesn't mean that it won't one day be you that is the one being censored, is the one being repressed. And when you think about it, the two most valuable things we have in life, I mean, you can have the best car, and you can have the nicest house and all of that, but if you don't have freedom, then really the car and the house doesn't mean much. Time and freedom are the two most valuable things that we own. You cannot get more time. You get the time that you have and no more. And so to have that precious time, to have the freedom to be able to say what you need to say and be able to do the things that you want to do, to me is the most valuable thing. So I've rambled on enough. I definitely think if there was prizes for rambling, I would hope that I would be in the running. And yes, this was more of a serious video. We will get back to gaming, but I just felt that I needed to make this video. I'm absolutely disgusted with Blizzard. I haven't been playing their games for a long time anyway. This morning I deleted their launcher, and I got rid of Diablo, which they made into a mobile game, which nobody wanted because, of course, China, that they want to try and get as much money as they can from China. So yeah, I pretty much haven't been playing them for a long time. It's a shame as well because when I built my first PC, WoW was the first game that I got into, and I admit in the beginning it was enjoyable. It started to get quite grindy, and I found that I didn't have the time, or after a while, particularly the interest. And it's quite interesting actually. I remember when they did the expansion with the pandas. I remember thinking then, I mean, it was a beautiful expansion, and I liked the trees and the style, and I liked the pandas. I didn't have a problem necessarily with that, but I remember thinking when I saw that expansion, this is an odd expansion. Where did this come from, and who exactly is this for? And I think it was at that point that Blizzard were thinking about, had their eyes on getting into China. So I think it started way back then, and I remember after that the game started to sort of go more downhill, and I started to enjoy it less, and it was just very grindy. And yeah, so I haven't played it now for a long time. And I know the classic thing, the classic WoW came out, which I didn't really understand the whole classic WoW thing. I mean, as far as I could tell, it was like starting at level 1. So if I was to go back to World of Warcraft, delete all my characters and start a new character, I would have thought I would be in classic WoW, but yeah, maybe I'm missing the point somehow. I do tend to do that, but yeah, I haven't played their games for a long time, and I don't plan to do so in the future. I don't think, in all good consciousness, you can continue to support something like that, that type of censorship. And I mean, EA, as most of you know, I thoroughly cannot stand them. I think they are a cancer to the gaming community. I think Blizzard is going the same way. We also have the problems with the makers of one of my most favourite games in the world, and will always remain my favourite game, but the makers of Skyrim, I've slowly lost a lot of respect for. They're making mobile games because they think that's the way to go. Fallout 76, which was it was a complete mess, and apparently they're still continuing to just. You would have thought that by this point they would have worked it out that people don't like these things to stop doing it, but no, apparently they're still trying to rip players off. Then of course we had Ubisoft recently. They got caught out, and all the huge amounts of monetization in their games, and really it is just it's a dark time to be into video games. I'm actually quite tired of gaming. I'm just hoping that that CD Red and Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be the light at the end of the tunnel, because quite honestly, I mean, I'm maybe painting it worse than it is. There are lots of still cool little games and that, but certainly some of the AAA developers are just letting the side down so badly, and this is just one more step over the line. When an American company is trying to silence the rights of people. Never a good thing. So, thank you for watching. Be safe, be well, and I will see you on the next video. We still need to do some Minecraft survival, don't we? I'm still trying to build that house. So yeah, until the next video, be well, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.